Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Byjus Exam Prep IAS. Welcome to the Hindu analysis of 23rd June 2024. Let us look at the articles that we are going to cover today. First of all, government removes NTA chief, hands over probe to CBI. You all know what is going on in NEET and other exams, and government is slightly on the back foot. And what was being demanded by the opposition, they have handed over the probe to CBI. At the same time, government is in the reform mode and has started to look into this and has removed the NTA chief. Number 2, no interim bail for Engineer Rashid. Court asked NIA to say when he can take oath. Now you all know this time in the elections, out of the 543 constituency, one constituency in Punjab and one in Jammu and Kashmir, they have elected two people who are presently in jail. So it has to be seen, that what exactly happens. And here it's being talked about the MP from Kashmir, Mr. Engineer Rashid. So that's one article. Third, UAPA tribunal confirms ban on Tehreek-e-Hurriyat and Muslim League J&K factions. So Tehreek-e-Hurriyat, Mr. Jilani's party, and that has been banned, and UAPA tribunal says that it would continue. So we shall look into this. Now comes to IR. Fourth, PM Modi likely to skip SCO summit in Kazakhstan. Xi, Putin, Sharif may attend. Now this is I would say a big development in the sense that we are going for outreach summits of G7, and at that moment Prime Minister Mr. Modi not traveling to SCO is bound to raise some eyebrows. At the same time, he has a valid reason, because parliament session would be going on, and at the same time he would have to speak in the parliament, so he's prioritizing that at this point of time. But what about SCO? We shall see here. Fifth, where does India stand with respect to G7? So that's what we are going over there, as I said. And what exactly is our future, and what exactly is the future of G7? We shall look into that. Apart from these 5 articles, Prelims Bites, an ancient center of learning. So we are talking about Nalanda. Now, great buildings, great innovations, but then is the education at the same level? That's the big question that's going to be asked from this particular topic. And very, very lengthy topic, very, very important from the perspective of, I would say, history. So we shall look into this. Number 2, erred in not crediting ICMR as co-inventor of Covaxin, admits Bharat Biotech. Yesterday only we studied. Hindu had raised this issue. Bharat Biotech is admitting that they have committed a mistake over here. Third, stringent regulations could hinder growth of AI in India, experts. So we shall talk slightly about the deepfakes in this particular article. Very important news coming yesterday. No GST on railway service, hostel stay. So something, coming from the government side, it would help a lot of people. Fifth, art empowers villages in a once troubled part of Bengal. So we shall see which exactly art we are going to talk about here. So these are the 10 articles that we are going to cover. Let's begin with the first one. You all can see government removes the NTA chief. So union government removed Mr. Subodh Kumar Singh. So he has been removed as the DG of NTA. Now, we are not going into the past. You all know it is very much in news because of the irregularities in the NEET UG exams. Other than that, other exams also, there are some news about irregularities, and that's what is your point number 2. Health Ministry has announced the postponement of NEET PG exam as a precautionary measure. So today, on Sunday, this exam was to happen. Before that, it has been cancelled. It has been postponed. Now, you all know this is a big, big issue that's going on for the last few days, and both the both the students plus the opposition, they had been demanding that, seen in the NEET UG, there should be a probe of cheating and malpractice, and that's why basically CBI has been handed over this particular case. Now, in February only we studied, and day before yesterday this law also came into being. The center's law, please remember, Public Examination Prevention of Unfair Means Act 2024. So under this, now there would be strict action for anybody found guilty of any wrong measures at this point of time. Now, apart from this, let me tell you a very important point. Yesterday, the government also appointed a expert committee. What they have to look into? They have to look into how to overhaul the examination system. Please remember, who is the head of this committee? This is being headed by former ISRO chairman, whose name is Mr. K. Radhakrishnan. So they have to suggest, they have to make the recommendations, they have to, tell about the structure as well as functioning of the NTA. Now, one very important thing when I was reading this article came into light was, see here, unlike the NEET undergraduate, which was conducted by the NTA, which is an autonomous body under the Education Ministry, the NEET post-graduation is conducted by the National Board of Examinations, which is an autonomous body under the Health Ministry. Now, please remember this line. This is something that is usually asked by UPSC. So, NEET undergraduate conducted by Education Ministry, whereas NEET PG is conducted by Health Ministry. Very, very important point. Now, of course, yesterday the ministry has announced that they are cancelling it and they have looked into this. Now, one more thing, yesterday they said that right now, the appointments committee of the center, they have given the additional charge of NTA to Mr. Pradeep Singh Kharola, who is the chairman and MD of India Trade Promotion Organization. So till further notification is issued, he has been given this additional charge. Last point from this article, the entire system of one nation, one exam has collapsed. This is an allegation by the opposition and the student leaders. So please remember, the residential doctors, they are very unhappy. The exam that was to happen today has been postponed and they called it a shame. And the president of JNU Union, Students Union, they have called that this system has failed, has collapsed, and they are asking the Education Minister, Mr. Dharmendra Pradhan, to resign. So that's not something needed. I wanted you to focus on this word. One nation, one exam. This is something that you should keep in mind. So that's your first article for the day, which we are done. Let us look at the second article. The second article is, you can see this is Mr. Sheikh Abdul Rashid. He has been elected as the MP from North Kashmir. He is the newly elected Lok Sabha member. But then he is presently in jail. He has been arrested in 2017 and he was arrested in a terror funding case and he was not given interim bail. Now, let me tell you, before becoming MP this time from North Kashmir, Mr. Sheikh Abdul Rashid had also been MLAs or had been elected as an MLA twice earlier. So it's not that he suddenly came out from somewhere. He had been there earlier also, but then he has been in jail. He did not get interim bail yesterday. Matter is going to be heard again on July 1st when NIA would file its response. Now, why suddenly we are talking about the bail of Mr. Rashid? The thing is, the newly elected MPs, they are going to be sworn. Oath taking would happen on June 24, 25 and 26. And that is why this, all these people who are in jail, the separatists from Amritpal Singh from Punjab and Mr. Rashid who is there from Kashmir, they had applied for bail application. Now, during this bail hearing, the lawyer of Mr. Rashid had said to the court that he has been elected as the MP, and that's why he needs to go for the oath-taking ceremony, and that's why he should be given the bail. And as an analogy, they had given the example of Mr. Sanjay Singh, Aam Aadmi Party's MP, who was allowed to go on bail, take oath as Rajya Sabha member. But then, while cancelling his bail, the judge said that you cannot have the comparison because the accusations were very, very different in both the cases. As far as NIA is concerned, they have said that they will consult the parliament as well as Tihar jail authorities with regards to whether he can be, given the bail or not. As far as Mr. Rashid is concerned, he is saying this is his constitutional duty. Clearly, if it's his constitutional duty, that means he abides by the Constitution of India, isn't it? If he is asking that he should be given a bail on the basis of the fact that he is going to take oath as the MP for North Kashmir, and that's the ground of him, or that's the ground for him to take the bail or get the bail, clearly he accepts that the Constitution of India is supreme. Now, you don't have to study anything further than this, but do keep an eye on the case regarding Mr. Rashid as well as Mr. Amritpal Singh, and this can be a topic of polity also, not only internal security. Moving ahead, Kashmir only if there is UAPA tribunal confirms ban on Tehreek-e-Hurriyat Muslim League J&K faction. Now, not many things to be studied over here, but what I want you to remember is that a tribunal was set under UAPA, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, and they have confirmed the centre's decision to impose 5-year ban on Muslim League Jammu Kashmir, Masrat Alam faction and Tehreek-e-Hurriyat Jammu and Kashmir. So there was a one judge, a one-member tribunal here as far as Delhi High Court was concerned, and they have said that these two outfits would be banned for the next 5 years. Please remember, accusations against them that they have been carrying out secessionist activities. Of course, where are these activities being carried out? In Jammu and Kashmir. And with whose help are they carrying it out? With the help of Pakistan. What is their objective? They want to have an Islamic rule as far as the Union Territory of Jammu Kashmir is concerned. Now, please understand, these two organizations that we are talking about, they are mainly working on behalf of Pakistan-based terrorist organization. The two most prominent of them, Lashkar-e-Taiba and Hizbul Mujahideen. They give on-ground support for this, militant activities to be carried out in the valley. Now here, the second one, Tehreek-e-Hurriyat was formed by late separatist leader Mr. Shayyad Ali Shah Jilani, and they are both these organizations, they have been banned because they are doing anti-India propaganda. So please remember, in internal security, when it comes to Jammu and Kashmir, you can use these 2 points, and that these are banned here. Let us move to the 4th article, and this time India, Bangladesh is in focus. So Madam Sheikh Hasina Wajid is back in India within 10 days. She's coming back to India twice, second time. And as you can see, had comprehensive discussion with Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi. And both of them, they have decided that they will be beginning a dialogue on comprehensive economic partnership agreement, which would pave for closer economic ties between India and Bangladesh. See, as far as India-Bangladesh is concerned, trust me, in the last 15 years, personally, if I say Bangladesh has proved to be a very good friend of ours. Of course, we have also done a lot of things, but in our immediate neighborhood, Bangladesh and specifically Madam Sheikh Hasina Wajid has proved to be a very, very valuable ally. And that's why, India-Bangladesh relation is only on this trajectory. It's going up. And I can say that there is a potential of this going further up. There is a lot of potential, lots of untapped potential, of course, and that is something that we are going to talk about. So, mainly trade, connectivity, energy collaborations. These are certain points where we can both collaborate. So I have mentioned some points. For example, between Akhora and Agartala, the 6th India-Bangladesh cross-border rail link has been started. Similarly, cargo facility for India's northeastern states has been started through Khulna Mangla port. Both units of the 1320 megawatt Matri thermal power plant have started generating electricity. Trade in Indian rupee has started between the two countries. So you can see already these are the points which you have to mention under the Indo-Bangladesh relations. So you can see clearly we are doing a lot of things. Both the sides are doing a lot of work. And you all can imagine how close our relations have become. That in the third term of Mr. Modi, the first Prime Minister, first any leader to come to India, I'm not talking about NSAs. You might say that NSA of USA had come. We are not talking about them. We are talking about the head of a state. And you can see Madam Wajid coming here. Sheikh Hasina coming over here, this being the first visit by any foreign leader, clearly shows how valuable this friendship has become. Now, you all can understand, from our angle, if you think, for our northeastern states, where we are connected through a very small tract of land from the mainland India, if this through Bangladesh also, if train services begin, how close your Agartala will come to Kolkata. Think about this. And that's why we are already talking. We are talking about, that India will attempt to start a train service in near future which will connect our northeastern states like Tripura with West Bengal through Bangladesh. Now that would be a great achievement for both the countries. It would be a great help for India. It would be a great thing to, economically, I would say, uplift the northeastern states like Tripura, etc. Apart from this, they were talk about two things here. I'll write here. You all know the Tista River. Now, yesterday we talked about Prime Minister Mr. Modi has announced that there would be an assistant high commission that would be opened in Rangpur district. Now, Rangpur district, it's a very strategic place because it is situated between West Bengal and Assam. And it is important because it is nurtured by the river, by the waters of Tista. We all know there is, negotiations going on between India and Bangladesh as far as Tista River is concerned. And why suddenly this becomes important is because, please understand, while we are doing the talks here, China is also interested in this. And next month, Madam Hasina Wajid is traveling to China, where this Tista River talks may come up. So Bangladesh has already started a project to conserve the Tista River, conservation and management of this, and suddenly, China taking interest in that. So invariably, India also has to take interest. Apart from that, medical e-visas. Now, everybody knows. A lot of people from outside, your Middle East or your neighborhood, they keep on traveling to India for their medical needs. And there are thousands of Bangladeshis who want to travel to India. And that's why Mr. Modi also announced that India would start issuing e-medical visas. Because there is a very, very huge demand for these, medical visas. Apart from that, there was a, talk about launching of small satellites. We have signed an MOU regarding that also. Okay, let's move to the next topic, and the next is Prime Minister Modi likely to skip SCO summit in Kazakhstan. Xi, Putin, Sharif may attend. Now, first of all, please see, this summit is going to be hosted by Kazakh President. You don't have to remember the name of the president. And this time, of course, Vladimir Putin is going to be there. Xi Jinping is there. Your Central Asian leaders would be there. And Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif, would be there. Now, please understand. All these people would be there. But most probably, Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi is going to be absent from this. Of course, our External Affairs Minister, Mr. S. Jaishankar, would represent India. Now, please understand, this meeting is going to happen on July 3rd, 4th. As you can understand, it is being organized by Kazakh President. So, it is going to be organized in Astana, the capital of H would not be there. Astana, it should be Astana, capital of Kazakhstan. So, here, the thing is, earlier Prime Minister had confirmed that he would be coming for this summit. But now he has said that he will not be arriving, and even though these leaders are going to arrive. Now you can understand, SCO heads are coming, Prime Minister is absent. And in future also, our participation, which is going to be there for SCO heads of government conference, which is going to be organized in autumn 2024 in Islamabad, most probably there would be question mark for India's participation over there also. Now, what is the logic? Why are we not traveling? As I said, Parliament session is going to happen from June 24th to July 3rd. And this is, the upcoming session is the reason Prime Minister Mr. Modi would not be traveling here. There are lots of things. Speaker has to be elected. President would be addressing both the houses. Prime Minister would be replying to the debate on motion of thanks. So all this is going to happen. Now just, you all know, SCO, originally Eurasian Security and Economic Grouping, which was promoted by Russia and China, included Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, India and Pakistan as full members. And now Iran and Belarus, they were going to be inducted this year. If you look here, though it's not written in this article, but if you see the people who are here, Russian president, Chinese president, you can see Iran going to become a member of this. Belarus also a very close ally of Russia, going to become a member. So somehow this, grouping appears to be, to some extent, I'm not saying totally, anti-West. And then at this point, the fact that Prime Minister is going to be absent, it raises a very valid question. Is India committed to this group or not? Oh, we have joined this group about 7 years ago. But already, SCA always had tension between India and Pakistan. And now with the global issues like Ukraine war, China, Russia, Russia, North Korea, Iran coming into this all. So there are too many things. So there are questions about this. Earlier, 2017, Prime Minister had traveled to Kazakhstan for the same SCO summit. But then, as I said, there are lots of irritants right now as far as SCO is concerned. During COVID pandemic, SCO summits were done virtually. And those days only, you remember, with China, we had the Galwan clash. So our ties broke down. And since then, if you talk about Mr. Modi meeting Xi Jinping, no bilateral meets have happened. 0 bilateral meets took place between them. On the sidelines of here and there, like in G20, Indonesia, they had met. Similarly, BRICS summit in South Africa 2023, there was some talks. But then nothing much has happened with regards to, your India, China, as I said. And please understand one very, very valid question. Prime Minister is missing SCO summit, but Prime Minister had recently traveled to Italy for G7, outreach summit. So this is also something that is going to be a big question mark, that he is attending one, he is not attending the other. See, when it comes to Russia, Ukraine, India has been taking a very middle path. Even in Switzerland, we did not send our external affairs minister or prime minister. We did not stand by the communique that was generated over there. But then, when it comes to, Russia's Ukraine point, the things become difficult for India also. We have met, or Mr. Modi had met Mr. Putin at SCO summit last year in Uzbekistan also. And that also, when the meeting had happened, the biggest statement that had come out of that meeting was Mr. Modi's statement that the era is not of war. Or rather, this era is not of war. So too many things, at the global level, and you have to understand those points. But then, very, very important for our exam, this particular point. Moving ahead, let us see the next point. Where does India stand with respect to G7? Now G7, you can see group of 7. Which are the nations? US 1, Canada, Germany, France, Japan, UK and Italy. They all met in Italy's Apulia region from June 13 to 15. Now India had also been invited there, and this is not the first time. Please remember, this is the 11th time India had been invited for this outreach summit. Now, what was this G7's objective? If they are meeting over here, please see, I have written the objectives. The biggest point that they wanted to achieve was to bridge the differences between the West and the rest. Now, I don't know by rest what they mean. If they are meaning, the countries whom they invited, it's okay. If they are meaning countries like Russia, China and all, I don't think anything has been achieved. Of course, finding new ways to fund support for the Ukraine war, clearly the rest will not be Russia if that's the case. And yes, we talked about this, that $50 billion are being given to Ukraine. Investing in Africa and grappling with migration. That's another thing. Europe is having this big problem of migration, which is happening from Africa, Middle East and all. Climate change, of course, artificial intelligence challenges. These were all on the agenda of G7. Now, what did all they achieve? I already talked to you, $50 billion to be given to Ukraine. They froze the sovereign assets of sovereign wealth funds of Russia. We have already studied this. They had a special session on energy for growth in Africa. So through this, they wanted to have investments for clean energy. And they met with the leaders of 10 other countries, including India, and there were multilateral organizations who all had been invited here. Now, why India? How important is India to this process? Very, very key member, because we are a key member of Global South. We have hosted the Voice of Global South conference since 2023. We have been a member of G20 Troika along with Brazil and South Africa. G7 is increasingly under attack for being an elitist, non-inclusive group that does not include world's top 10 economies like China, India and Brazil. Neither they have any representative from the rest of the world. So there is, big issues surrounding G7 also. But then, if you look at this G7 group, there was one more thing. Barring Italy, where Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, her party did very good in European Parliament elections. All other, 6 groups or countries, they are having election campaigns and their approval ratings have gone down. So this is something. Now, though we have already studied, just for your sake, let me tell you one more time. Other countries whose leaders had attended this outreach were Algeria, Argentina, Brazil, Jordan, Kenya, Mauritania, Tunisia, Turkey, and UAE. And which are the multilateral organizations? African Development Bank, IMF, OECD, the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, United Nations, and the World Bank. So please do remember this point, that all of these had, attended this particular conference. Now, is this meeting or this summit important for India? Please understand, it is important. After the main deliberations of G7, this outreach program meeting happens the next day. You can understand the importance of this from the fact that Mr. Modi had been called by Giorgia Meloni during the election campaign so that Mr. Modi participates. And just after 4 days of the swearing in, and even before the majority had been proven in parliament, Mr. Modi had travelled to Italy for these talks, where our Prime Minister had talked about the victory of the democratic world. But then the biggest question is, what is the future of this G7? And as I said, G7 cannot be elitist. In fact, G7 has not increased its member, rather they dropped Russia. G7 is being challenged by newer groups like BRICS. Originally it was what? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Now it has got newer countries like UAE, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia. G7 has been unable to, change the, way this Ukraine war is going on. Neither they have been able to deter China from its inroads in global connectivity and infrastructure. So there are many, many questions as far as the G7's future is concerned, and let us see how they handle this. Coming to your prelim section, very important news coming from Nalanda, Ancient Center of Learning, and please understand we'll cover this in your webinar also. But then there are certain important things that came out of this. That's why I wanted to point it out. The first line only, the learning is being here, calls out rejuvenated Nalanda University situated besides the Rajgir Hill, about 90 kilometers from Patna in Bihar. So this very, very important statement. Now, you all know this is a first residential, first international residential school in the world. 500 years minimum earlier than Oxford University. So recently, Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi had inaugurated its new, campus. And if you go through the history of your Nalanda University, its history goes back to the dates of Buddha. The Nalanda Mahavira, as it was known then, was founded in the 5th century by Emperor Kumaragupta. The great, scholars and teachers like Nagarjuna, Aryabhat, Dharmakirti, they all were part of this university. It is said at its peak, it had 2,000 teachers, it had 10,000 students. Now, in ancient history, you would have studied, in the traveler chapter, you would have studied your travelers like Hyun Sang. Hyun Sang. They have written about this, detailed accounts. He had stayed in Nalanda for 5 years. He was a student himself here for 5 years. And he talks about that the entry to this college was very, very tough. There used to be oral exams. And only 20% of the students would qualify for this. What all subjects were taught here? The subjects taught at Nalanda included Buddhist scriptures, both of Mahayana and Hinayana schools, philosophy, theology, metaphysics, logic, grammar, astronomy, and medicine. It used to have students from as far as China, Korea, Japan, Tibet, Mongolia, Sri Lanka, and even Southeast Asia. And the scholars have given their accounts, they have written lots of literature about this, about the profound knowledge, and mainly from Chinese scholars, we know a lot about these, great place. Now, historically, these ruins of the seat of learning were first discovered in 1812 by Scottish surveyor Francis Buchanan Hamilton. Later in 1867, it was officially identified as the ancient university by Sir Alexander Cunningham. Now, please understand, these are all the past, historical things about this. Now come to the modern Nalanda University. We have already talked about this, but then in March 2006, former President Mr. APJ Abdul Kalam had proposed that this university should be revived. And that's why later, this Nalanda University was established. We have already talked about, East Asia Summit. Then happened in 2007, Philippines, later in Thailand. And accordingly, the Parliament of India had passed the Nalanda University Act 2010. Now, please understand, apart from India, this time 17 countries, their ambassadors had participated in the inauguration of this campus. Almost around 1800 crore rupees has been spent in 485 acres. This is the largest carbon footprint free net zero campus. Now, all this is great. Now, the most important thing is, please understand, I'm taking this. First time in 2014, 15 students were admitted. Your Nobel Prize winner, economist Amartya Sen, has been associated with this. He was the first chancellor, and then President Pranab Mukherjee was the first visitor. So that's all okay. That's the facts about this. Now, there is some talk about beginning of the decline. There are some academic issues that concern this area, this, Nalanda. What are this? One of the points that they are saying is there are lots of controversies. One first controversy in this article is being pointed is that there was a person named Gopa Sabharwal who had been appointed as the vice chancellor of this university, formerly a reader of sociology as far as Delhi was concerned. Later, Professor Amartya Sen, I talked about him, he recused himself. He said he does not want to remain the chancellor of this. Then succeeded by former Singapore foreign minister, Mr. George Yeo, as the chancellor. He also, left. He questioned the, citing concerns regarding autonomy and political interference. He said in the academic matters there is a lot of political interference. Apart from this, now let me come to one last part of this lecture or this particular article. See, you all know how this Nalanda got, destroyed, this Nalanda University. See, throughout our growing years, we have always been taught that there was a Turkish invader. His name was Bakhtiyar Khilji, who around 1200 AD, destroyed this, burned this place. But then there are some experts, and I'll write this in a different color, they question it. These experts, they say Nalanda declined because of the natural decay. Why? Because Buddhism declined in this area. In this article, they have written about an author named Namit Arora. Mr. Namit Arora writes a book named Indians, A Brief History of civilization. In this book, Mr. Arora says there is no proof that Bakhtiyar Khilji, he had destroyed it. He says there is absolutely no proof. Mr. Arora mentions 40 years after Khilji's campaign, a Persian account written by Minhaj al-Siraj spoke about a destruction of a monastery by Bakhtiyar Khilji. But then the author says that that was not Nalanda, that monastery was rather Udantapuri, which is 12 kilometers from Nalanda. It was described to be located within a fortified city, which is present-day Bihar Sharif. Those days it was a political and economic center, and that's why Bakhtiyar Khilji thought of destroying it. Mr. Arora says there is no account which says Khilji had, ever come to Nalanda. And Mr. Arora says that by then Nalanda had already declined, had little political or economic allure, nor it was a thriving center of religion at that point of time. So this is something that is new mentioned over here. Of course, there is a talk about, near this there is a station called Bakhtiyarpur. Talks about, Bakhtiyarpur's name being changed, which was rejected by Mr. Nitish Kumar. He said that destroyer of the famed Vasiti had stationed his camp in Bakhtiyarpur. Now, a man born in the same place, that is, he's saying to himself, is going to rebuild the Nalanda University. That was stated by Mr. Nitish Kumar in 2021. So this is a very lengthy article, very, very important points coming out of this. We have already studied this yesterday. See, 22nd June, we talked about this. Same news coming, aired in not crediting ICMR as a co-inventor of Covaxin, admits Bharat Biotech. So yesterday only we said, today Bharat Biotech have said that, see, Covaxin they have made an inadvertent mistake in not including the scientists of ICMR as the co-inventors in patent applications filed in India and abroad, and they would be including their names in fresh filings for patent purposes. So, the topic that we took yesterday, why they have not raised, that is now answered, and today they are saying no, we will include this. Moving ahead. Stringent, regulations could hinder growth of AI in this India. Please understand why we are going for this stringent regulations. This is because of the deepfake videos which utilize AI to swap the likeness of a person in existing video with someone else's. Now, there is a lot of concerns with regards to this deepfake technology because they make very highly realistic fake video, which you all know can be utilized to spread misinformation, create fake news, and to generate false narratives. Now, in order to tackle all this, government is thinking about, having a regulatory landscape. Because presently we don't have any laws, specific law which directly, deals with this. But then the industry people, they are worried that if this is done, there might be, the regulations would hinder the growth of AI. So right now, let us see when in future any such thing is formed or not. You can see Mishi Chaudhary, founder of Software Freedom Law Center, suggested the government should be ready to update existing laws to protect public interest and guard against future harmful associated with the technology. So that's one of the views. Another view is of Jajit Bhattacharya, which says this advisory does not really hinder the industry. But then there are, advisory came from criticism from some experts where they are saying that, any under-tested, unreliable AI product should be labeled with a disclaimer indicating that outputs generated by such products may be unreliable. So there are, these things which are coming out of this. Please, from this, do study about ChatGPT, Google Gemini, what exactly all these do. Deepfake, these are the points that you have to remember from this. No GST on railway services, hostel stay. GST Council met after almost 9 months and they approved, rather they exempted hostel accommodation worth till 20,000 a month, and railway services they would not incur GST charges. Now please understand, railway, this GST not being charged would help a lot of people. Apart from this, the government has also said that council decided to roll out biometric based Aadhaar authentication for all GST registrations across the country in a phased manner. So that's the thing that they are saying. So this way the fake invoices can be taken care of. Fraudulent use that people do to input tax credit, that can be taken care of. We don't have to remember the charges or the percentage for different products. Lastly, they have also talked about rationalization of the GST rates, which would be done, within some time. They are saying by, 2026, when the GST compensatory cess would expire, then this would be done by them. Last, from Bengal, art empowers villages in once troubled part of Bengal. So please understand, in Jharkhand, people have gone for some sort of art. You can see this art, traditional art includes dokra, katum and kancha stitching. So they all are types of embroidery, and they are being used by the people specifically in Bengal. This Santhal people of the Santhal tribe people also, they are taking up to this, and they all, around 12 villages they are talking about, they have become a part of this. And Mr. Mandal, who is being credited with this, he says entire project should be named as Khwab Gaon. Empowerment of the villages through this art, he says, should be named as Khwab Gaon. So you can see, remember this, what is the name of the project? Do remember where it is being happening, Jharkhand, and do remember these are the 3 traditional art forms here. You can see traditional art forms. These all are stitching and all. 2 questions. Number 1, India-Bangladesh ties have the potential to move to the next level. Comment 150 words, 10 marker. Please keep an eye on what exactly is more happening with regards to this. Of course, we'll talk about this tomorrow also. Question number 2, discuss the current state of exam paper leaks in India and their impacts, including the measures suggested by political parties and the government to address the issue. 250 words, 15 marker. That's all from today's newspaper. Let's meet tomorrow again, same place, same venue. Till then, goodbye. Thank you.